Hello, my friends, and welcome to Story Time. Yay, yay! I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories about when I was in the bush growing up. This relates to a story that happened to me when I was in the Aberdares in central Kenya, in the Rift Valley of Kenya. The Aberdares is one of the most beautiful places in all of Kenya. It's about 7,000 to 8,000 feet. Very heavy forested area. Especially in the kind of the ravine part. It's kind of like what you would think of when you think of Africa, very deep bush. And yet there are areas of it as well that as it goes up into the higher areas of the Aberdares, where it'll be large areas of more like open area. And that's kind of where this story took place. We were driving in a Peugeot 504. Peugeots are kind of the workhorses of driving in Africa. They're a tough little car. Usually they're all white. The missionaries, we all had white Peugeots, 404s or 504s. They were all usually started with KKQ. I don't know why the mission all got those. KKQ 508 was our driver's license number. But I was up there with some good friends of mine that I grew up with, which were some missionary kids named the Adams. And it was the Adams family for sure. I was with Jim and Chipper Adams and his two sisters Linda and Cinda. And we were up there checking out the bush. And it's very wild and woolly. It's kind of a dangerous place because this is where, I don't know if you've ever heard of Joy Adamson and George Adamson, who had their lion stories about Elsa and stuff. Well, George had released a lot of those lions out into the Aberdares, and they didn't have a particular fear of man, so it was kind of a dangerous place. So you always had to kind of watch out what you were doing when you were up there in the bush. But in this particular circumstance, we were over in our 504, and had come down into these game parks. And these game parks are basically areas that have been set aside for people to go and visit the wildlife. But this is where wildlife has been for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So it's not like a place where people have put all these animals, but it's more like places where people aren't allowed to live, except for what we would say Swahili Wageni, which would be like the visitors or the guests who would come over and check out the stuff. So we were in this 504. We came over this kind of a hill area, and when we came down over the hill, we found ourselves in this middle of this herd of elephants. On the left-hand side were the mama and the calf elephants, or the baby elephants, and on the right-hand side going up the hill were the bull elephants. Well, that's never a good idea because they're very protective of each other, and in particular the mothers and the babies. But when you get the bulls and the moms separated like that, it does make them upset. So we pulled into this thing. Now, Chipper Adams is a good friend of mine. He was a little bit younger than I am, but another missionary kid that I grew up with in East Africa. And while we were out there, although he wasn't supposed to be doing this at all, he had one of those slingshots, wrist rockets, that you would aim out there and shoot out, And he had been trying to shoot these guinea fowl. Of course, you weren't supposed to be doing that, but his idea was, we're gonna get some guineas and we're gonna eat some special stuff, like he was gonna be hunting out there. Of course, you're not supposed to be doing that at all. He never really hit anything, so it didn't really matter. He'd been trying to shoot these guineas. We're going to get a chicken. He called him a bush chicken. We're going to shoot these chickens. So I'm like, well, I guess so, Chip. So anyway, we got in the middle of this herd of elephants, and you had the bull elephants over on one side, and the mamas and the babies on the other side. And he decided it would be funny to shoot these elephants. So I'm like, I'm sitting in the back seat. Chipper is like leaning out the window with his wrist rocket, stretches that thing out. He has these like marbles, and he shot this mama elephant and the thigh with this wrist rocket. And I'm like, Chip, man, this is a bad plan. I don't know what you're doing here, buddy, but this is not a good idea. So he shot it again, and the elephant's kind of doing its ears around like this, like what the hell are you doing, man? Don't you know I'm an elephant, And so he kept going on like that, and then he says, well, I want to try again. So he leans all the way out the window. First he kind of shot in a little bit more tentative from the car. Now he leans all the way out the window, shoots it again. The elephant's like, what's going on here? I'm feeling something hit me in the butt. You know, and I'm like, Chip, man, it's a bad plan, buddy, I'm telling you. So he leans all the way out the window, shoots it again. It's like the second time. And, you know, the elephant doesn't like that, you know. So Chipper decides he's going to get a better shot if he just gets completely out of the car. So he gets out of the car and he's standing beside the car, leaning at that wrist rocket and shooting this elephant. And I'm like, Chip, man, I don't know what you're thinking about, buddy, but this is not a good idea. Well, at the same time, as I'm looking up over on the right-hand side where the bull elephants were, they were getting more and more agitated about the female elephant, the cow elephant, you know, getting hit by this wrist rocket. So I don't know if you know anything about elephants or not. I grew up with elephants all my life, and you know, elephants generally, what they do is they'll do their ears, you know, real big like this, and that's supposed to be a display to frighten you. But when they actually come to charge, they actually fold their ears back along the side of their head. Well, I've been watching this bull elephant as Jim was shooting for the third and fourth time. I mean, Chipper was shooting for the third and fourth time on this deal. And all of a sudden, I realized as I was watching the bull elephant on the right-hand side thing that it put his ears down and it was actually coming down the hill. It was charging the car. And so I yelled, Jim, who was driving. I said, Jim, man, it's coming at us, man. So he put that thing, he had it in reverse and was just spinning out gravel, and Chipper was just hanging on to the side of the car literally as we were dragging him up the side of the hill on this thing. That elephant just narrowly missed us going, you know, right beside the car as it's kind of chasing us as we were going up the hill, you know, out there. Now, you know, again, this 3-ton elephant, you know, and these little Peugeots, you know, basically made out of, you know, aluminum. Definitely could have just squashed us, you know. So we did manage to escape out of that thing as it kind of, you know, looked at us, you know, kind of standing in the middle of the road about, you know, 100 yards off it. It got tired of chasing us, you know, as Jim and you know, Chipper got back into the car thinking, oh, wasn't that fun? And I'm like, well, I got a lot of adjectives I could put that in, but fun wasn't one of them. And then, you know, what happened was about an hour later, we were driving and that tire, one of the rear tires actually exploded. And so, you know, you think about, oh man, if that tire would have gone out then, you know, when you're trying to reverse with one of your rear tires that's flat, you ain't going anywhere. So it very well could have been in the ultimate trash compactor with that elephant taking care of me and the rest of the Adams family, you know, squashed inside a Peugeot 504. So that's at least one piece of story, Tim.